Under the blazing African sun, where water was scarce and life demanded strength, a new creature was forged, not in laboratories or factories, but in the wilderness itself. Its heart beat with endurance, its body shaped by struggle. This is the Boer goat, the undisputed titan of the meat goat world. They say survival creates strength. In the heat of Africa, strength created legend. Long before the Boer goat became a symbol of meat production and muscular perfection, it was a product of resilience, bred from necessity rather than luxury. In the early 1900s, when Dutch settlers known as Boers colonized parts of South Africa, they needed livestock that could do what others could not endure. Imported European goats struggled under the scorching sun, the arid lands, and the long seasons of drought. So, the settlers turned to native African goats, hardy, wild, and built for survival. Through selective crossbreeding, they began shaping a breed that could thrive where others failed. It was not a single man's work, nor a single generation's dream. It was decades of quiet determination. Farmers looked for goats that grew faster, resisted disease, and handled extreme heat. Each year, only the strongest survived. Each generation, nature removed the weak, and slowly, a new legend emerged. The Boer goat, named after the very people who created it. From dust and hardship came muscle and might. The Boer goat wasn't just an animal, it was evolution guided by human hands. Its coat reflected the land, white like dry sand, red like the African soil. Its body carried muscle not for beauty but for battle, a natural armor against hunger, predators, and time. Even in their early days, these goats caught attention. Local tribes saw them as signs of prosperity, a symbol of survival. Farmers saw them as hope, the one animal that could feed both family and land. But few could predict that this humble creature, born in one of the toughest climates on Earth, would someday conquer farms and ranches across the world. From South Africa's dusty plains, to the heartlands of Texas and the mountains of Australia, what began as survival soon became supremacy. Every muscle tells a story, and the Boer goat's body is a masterpiece of evolution. This isn't just a goat, it's biological engineering perfected by nature and humans together. Unlike most goat breeds, the Boer goat's body was built for power. Its broad chest and rounded hindquarters give it a natural advantage for meat production. But this strength isn't just for looks. It's the result of selective adaptation. For generations, farmers kept only those goats that grew the fastest and survived the longest. Each survivor carried forward the genes of endurance, stronger bones, denser muscle fibers, and a metabolism capable of converting dry, coarse vegetation into solid muscle. Where others starved, the Boer thrived. That was their secret. They didn't need lush fields or gentle climates. They turned survival into science. Scientists studying the breed were astonished. These goats could maintain muscle mass even in nutritional drought. Their blood carried higher oxygen levels, and their immune system resisted many parasites that crippled other livestock. The Boer goat became known not only as a meat producer, but a symbol of biological efficiency. Each muscle fiber, perfectly arranged. Each step, a rhythm of stability. Each breath, proof that the harshest conditions could produce perfection. Strength is not given, it is earned. The story of the Boer goat isn't just a tale of survival, it's a global odyssey. Born under the unforgiving African sun, these goats were bred by farmers who needed animals that could do the impossible: survive heat, drought, and hunger, and still thrive. Their name, Boer, comes from the Dutch word for farmer, and that's exactly what they were, a farmer's dream. When the 20th century arrived, agricultural scientists noticed something remarkable. The Boer goats weren't just surviving, they were dominating. They grew faster, produced more meat, and stayed healthier than almost any other breed. By the 1980s, the secret was out. Farmers from around the world began importing Boer goats from South Africa, from Australia to the United States, from Brazil to China. Everywhere they went, they adapted. You could put them on a rocky hillside or a cold plain, and they'd still find a way to live. That adaptability made them a symbol of global livestock excellence. In America, Boer goats quickly became stars of the meat industry. Their rich, tender meat and fast growth rate turned small farms into booming businesses. And yet, despite their popularity, the breed never lost its connection to its homeland. Even today, pure South African Boer goats are prized for their genetics. Farmers pay thousands of dollars for a single breeding buck, not just for meat production, but for heritage. Each purebred Boer goat carries the legacy of centuries of African resilience and human craftsmanship. They were born in struggle, raised in heat, and crowned by the world. Strength isn't born. It's built. One generation at a time. In the rolling farmlands of South Africa, where red dust dances under the sun, a quiet revolution began. Farmers had already discovered the Boer goat's natural resilience, but now, they wanted perfection. The goal was bold, a goat that could grow faster, survive longer, and produce more meat, without losing its spirit. So began the art of breeding power. Boer breeders didn't just select animals for size, they studied muscle density, bone strength, fertility, and temperament. Every goat that stood strong in drought or stayed healthy in the wild was part of a grand design, a living blueprint of survival and success. Over decades, careful selection turned the Boer into something extraordinary. A powerhouse breed, admired by scientists and farmers alike. But it wasn't just about strength, they wanted beauty too. That's why the classic Boer look, white body with a deep red head, became a signature across the world. It wasn't merely aesthetic, it was a mark of genetic pride. When you see that red head and white coat, you know you're looking at history. Breeding shows soon became global competitions. Farmers presented their finest Boers like royal champions. Shining coats, muscular frames, calm, confident eyes. Judges didn't just see goats, they saw generations of effort, the result of passion meeting precision. As the years passed, breeders began to integrate modern science, DNA testing, selective mating algorithms, and nutritional tracking. The once humble African goat had now entered the digital age, its bloodline mapped by genetics, its strength measured by data. And yet, behind all the science and technology, the spirit remained the same. To build the strongest meat goat on earth. These goats, they're my legacy. From the heart of Africa to the farthest corners of the earth, one breed changed the face of farming forever. When the first Boer goats left South Africa, no one imagined how far their legacy would reach. They arrived in the United States in the early 1990s. Strong, stocky, and unlike anything American farmers had seen before. Within a few years, the Boer goat became a superstar of the livestock world. Ranchers from Texas to California started importing them by the thousands. Why? Because Boer goats grew twice as fast as traditional breeds and thrived in climates that destroyed others. They didn't just survive, they dominated. It wasn't just another animal, it was a revolution on 4 legs. Soon, breeding clubs and Boer goat associations emerged around the world, in Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and even China. Farmers held auctions where a single purebred Boer buck could sell for tens of thousands of dollars. Documentaries and TV specials featured these goats as the muscle machines of the livestock world. But behind all that fame was something deeper, a symbol of human innovation and natural design working together. Every Boer goat in a modern farm carries the bloodline of centuries, African dust, human determination, and nature's raw brilliance. In developing nations, Boer goats became more than livestock. They became lifelines. They provided food security, income, and empowerment for families. A single goat could feed a community. In places where cattle couldn't survive, the Boer goat stood tall, proud, powerful, and unstoppable. In a world of struggle, they became the heartbeat of hope. From the quiet African fields to neon-lit global trade shows, the Boer goat's empire had been built. And yet, through all the fame and fortune, one truth remains. They never forgot where they came from. The land that forged their strength. Born in the wild, bred by will, and crowned by the world. This is the story of the Boer goat. It's not just meat, it's the flavor of strength, carved from the land itself. When you bite into Boer goat meat, you're not just tasting food, you're tasting history, genetics, and endurance. For centuries, communities in Africa relied on goat meat for survival. But when the Boer goat came along, it changed the game forever. Boer goat meat doesn't fight your teeth, it melts with a story. Scientists began studying the Boer goat's muscle structure and discovered something fascinating. The breed's genetics produced fine muscle fibers with less fat marbling, giving the meat its unique tenderness. It's low in cholesterol, packed with protein, and full of iron, healthier than beef, lamb, or even chicken. Across the world, chefs took notice. In upscale restaurants from New York to Sydney, Boer goat meat became the new delicacy. Its mild flavor made it versatile, perfect for grilling, roasting, or slow-cooked stews. In Texas, chefs call it the steak of the desert. It's more than protein, it's culture on a plate. In South Africa, it's celebrated in traditional braai, smoky barbecues that unite families under starlit skies. And in the Middle East and Asia, it's prized during festivals and feasts, a meal of pride and celebration. Nutritionists praise Boer goat meat for being high in nutrients, low in fat, and completely natural. No hormones, no industrial feeding. It's pure, clean, and organic by nature. When you eat Boer goat, you eat what nature intended: strength, balance, and life. In every bite lies a legacy: the land, the animal, and the people who raised it. Today's farmers face a new kind of challenge: feeding a growing planet without destroying it. Droughts, deforestation, and industrial livestock farming have left deep scars on the earth. But in the middle of this crisis, one animal is quietly proving that sustainability doesn't mean sacrifice, it means smart survival. That animal is the Boer goat. Boer goats require less water than cattle, less land than sheep, and produce meat faster than almost any other farm animal. They thrive in rugged terrains, of places where cows can't graze and crops can't grow. To the modern farmer, that's gold. Sustainability experts now view Boer goats as the future of ethical meat production. Their smaller carbon footprint, ability to clear weeds, and low resource needs make them an eco-friendly alternative in an era of climate change. In rural communities across Africa and Asia, Boer goats are transforming lives. A single breeding pair can lift families out of poverty, creating milk, meat, and income all year round. NGOs even call them the walking bank accounts of the developing world. But it's not just poor regions benefiting. In the United States, large-scale ranchers are replacing traditional livestock with Boers for profit and sustainability. Their fast maturity rate and high fertility mean more meat, more often, with less cost. The scene fades into visuals: goats grazing on a dry hill under solar panels, a farmer weighing newborn kids with a smile, a scientist checking DNA markers in a modern lab. The world of farming is evolving: digital tracking, climate-smart agriculture, precision breeding, and right in the center stands the Boer goat, an ancient breed built for the future. Around the world, Boer goats have gone beyond farms. They've become legends. Every year, in dusty fields and massive arenas, breeders gather to showcase their finest goats in competitions that feel more like royal coronations than farm shows. In South Africa, the birthplace of the breed, Boer goat shows are a national event. Farmers travel hundreds of miles with their best animals, cleaned, brushed, and prepared like champions. Judges don't just look at size. They study muscle balance, bone structure, skin tone, coat shine, and even posture. When a goat wins, it's not just a ribbon. It's respect. It's legacy. In the United States, the Boer goat has its own elite competitions, with thousands of fans cheering in packed barns. Winning goats are sold at record-breaking prices. Their names echo across the breeding world like celebrity athletes. A perfect Boer buck can be worth more than a luxury car. And to the farmers who raise them, it's priceless. But these competitions are about more than money. They're about pride, in craftsmanship, in tradition, in community. For rural families, raising a champion goat means belonging to something bigger than themselves. Across Australia, youth agricultural clubs teach kids how to raise, feed, and show Boer goats, building confidence and a deep respect for nature. In Africa, Boer goats appear in cultural festivals, their red and white coats painted with tribal symbols of strength. The scene transitions: farmers polishing their goats before a show, kids cheering as a winner is crowned, a proud breeder wiping tears as his goat takes the stage. These moments are pure, built on love, patience, and connection. As the music swells, we see slow-motion footage of a grand champion Boer goat standing tall under a spotlight, its muscles gleaming, eyes calm, proud.